So before we get going, and we used to do these workshops before the pandemic, in conference rooms at our locations, and ask people to go around the room and just ask them, where do you live? What's a brief occupation, or what's the kind of job you're looking for, so that we could start networking in that classroom and get those people into your network. So we can do that right now. If you want to type in the chat where you live and the kind of work that you're looking for. And if you see something on the chat that maybe you could throw out a name, a contact, or an employer in your area that's looking for someone, let's get networking statewide. There's folks on the call from all over the state. So I think that this is really great. So put in there what kind of work you're looking for, and where you're located. So I can tell you my story. I was in the travel industry biz for a long time, and I got laid off, and talked to someone that works here, and they told me all about the services here. So I came in and got connected, and ended up getting a job here. So I wasn't on unemployment for too terribly long, but I have been where a lot of you are right now. And it is hard to navigate this process. So I've been here for about 12, 15, 14 years, something like that. And I really enjoy it. I work with both businesses and job seekers, and I love where those two things collide, where I can tell a job seeker about this company that just posted a job, or I can tell a job seeker about a job fair that's coming up, and you might be able to come in and actually talk to that employer that you want to go work for. So I really do enjoy the work that we do. And my moderator today is Naquila James, and maybe she wants to pop on the video and introduce herself.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. My name is Nyquila, and I will be monitoring the chat box today. Just to note, it is not necessary to write down any of the information that you do see in the chat. We will send that out in a slide. All presentation slides and speaker notes, along with support materials and a link to the recording, will be emailed to the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Naquila. Well, thank you, Naquila. I appreciate that. And this is the first time we're working together. So I just met her for the first time today too. So, all right. Well, let's get started on this. So, we as job seekers need to really be creative. This is called the Creative Job Search Series. We need to be creative because it's we're seeing COVID cases on the uptick again. So employers are still really busy making sure that they have all the hand sanitizer that they need, that they have all the tissues and COVID tests, and they're aware of their COVID protocol. So we really need to be creative. We really need to work hard to make it as easy for the employer, the jobs we're applying for, to see that we are the right person. They have a lot on their minds. They're very busy. We need to take it upon ourselves to be creative and make life easy for them, to see that you are the perfect candidate. Because things are changing on a daily basis for employers, and for us as job seekers. Obviously, job loss is difficult. And it impacts so many different parts of our lives, financially, self-esteem, your schedule, you're antsy, you don't want to be at home. But we do need to figure out a game plan on what we need to do going forward. So managing that stress could be very difficult for some. Emotional, psychological, financial, and physical challenges are going to face us every day, as well as those intrinsic parts as well, like I said, your self-esteem, your identity. Sometimes when you meet people, hi, my name's Rhonda, what do you do for work? Well, I'm not working right now, I got laid off. It's not easy to say all the time, so it is part of your identity. um, and maybe it was part of your social life as well, and it will affect your family life. Now you're home all the time, and you're ending up running kids to this, that, and the other thing. And so that's new for you. It could be very new for you. But you know what? It's a great time to stop and reflect and see what has changed for the good. Maybe you really didn't like that last job all that much anyway. They were bringing on some new stuff and it was getting too busy. You were doing the work of three people. It was really wearing on you. So it's a good time to take a little self-assessment and see maybe what you want to do next. And you're going to get opinions from everybody you talk to. Um, things like, well, I got my last job in 2 weeks. What's wrong with you? It's been a month. Things like that. Just shrug it off. This is your job search, and times might be different than they are before. So don't necessarily um, take everything to heart that other folks they're trying to be helpful, but it's your job search, and you need to face it in your way. Think about what makes you happy, and give yourself credit for your emotions, because it's a roller coaster, actually. Because you're gonna have, where you get a great job lead and you're so excited. This is a perfect job for me. I know I can do it. They have to see that in my resume, and you end up not getting the job. So you're so excited, and then all of a sudden very sad. But then you mobilize and you get going again. You work on your resume, you do some more research and get more people you can talk to, and you get some great leads. And it's up and down and up and down. But you're not the only one that's feeling that way. But you need to learn how to identify those feelings and figure out how can I deal with them. So give yourself credit for being, very sad about losing your last job. You loved it. You wanted to retire from that job. You wanted to get that gold pen after 30 years. And that just didn't happen. You got let go. You're angry, you're frustrated. A lot of places close down. It's business decisions. It's nothing personal. So just give yourself credit for acknowledging your feelings. And then, find a safe outlet. Where can you deal with your feelings in a positive way? Um, Maybe if you're really angry, you could write a letter to your former boss, just letting them have it, tell them exactly how you feel. Um, of course, you would never send that letter. You might chew it up and spit it out. You might burn it. You might, put it in an ice cube tray and freeze it. Whatever you do, don't send it. But it helps to get it off your chest, saying it out loud, writing it down, reading it back to yourself. Just get it off of your shoulder, off of your, relieve yourself of that. Because you walk into an employer and you're still ticked off at that previous one, they might see that and they may not want to bring that into their workplace. Okay. So forgive COVID, forgive your previous employer, and just move on. It's time to move on. And you know what? You accept the change. If you can find another position in the same industry, great, good for you, go for it. Might be a time where you need to um, make a life change, go to school, do something different, start your own business. But you do need to accept that change, that it's here, and you need to face it every single day. Um, and so you just need to try and stay on the positive side of things. Feel stronger every day. Feel energized. What can you do to feel energized? Go for a walk every morning, or have that second cup of coffee, or whatever. But you really need to stay positive, and and it's all about your attitude. And so every day when you get up, take a shower, check your email, do those things every morning, and just make sure that you can look in the mirror and ask yourself, would I hire me today? Am I the best version of myself today to go out and do this job searching thing? You want to be the best you can be when you're job searching. So taking that little bit of time to, just stop and regroup and think about what do you want to do next? Because they may ask, why did you leave your last job? Um, and you have to be able to answer that in a positive way. That it was an involuntary separation. I thought things were going well. But this is the job. This job right here is the one that I really want to be doing, and I know I will do a great job. So that's a positive attitude that you can demonstrate to them instead of, oh, they let me go, they were losing a lot of money and things were just bad, and the big jerks, they let me go first because I've been there the longest, and it makes me mad. I was going to retire from there. You don't want to get into that whole long scenario. You know what? It was a business decision, but this is what I want to do. And there's lots of great notes in the chat. Going to the gym keeps you energized and stronger. Taekwondo for stress and health. That's awesome. It is mentally exhausting, self-defeating when you're at your company for 11 years and then, yeah, they force you out. We hear that an awful lot. But take it upon yourself to be that positive person, be the bigger person. You know what? If you do wake up one day and you've got your crabby pants on, you know what, maybe that's not your best day to go to a networking group. You don't want to bring that negativity into another area. Maybe that's a good day to sit at your computer and do some research on some of those companies. So if you can't turn yourself into having a positive attitude, then maybe that's just a time to reflect and see, what can I do? What has changed? That I feel happy about this change. I feel sad. I feel angry. What are the new opportunities for you? I mean, this maybe opens up a clean slate for you, and you can make that change to be that, in another position that you always thought you wanted to do. So just keep an eye on yourself and make sure that you can try and stay positive. And here's just some things you folks have been putting in the chat, some of the things that you do to maybe stay positive and energized, which is great. A lot of talking to other people, pardon me, other people that are also positive, because you don't want to get into a group where they're all complaining about losing their jobs and, this is hideous and it's taking too long. You want to talk to people that are going to say, you know what, that last reject letter you got is that, you're that much closer to a yes, to a job offer, and just keep you positive. There are support groups and job clubs and networking events. You can find some of those on our system under, I think it's under job fairs, under the job fairs tab on careerforceMN.com. And some of them are online, I'm sure, so that you can join into those. In person is good as well. And they're sort of run by the folks at the Career Force locations. Oftentimes they have a topic that they're going to talk about, or in Duluth, when we were doing it, we were bringing in employers to come in and talk to the group of people to explain what is their hiring process, what's their application like, what's the best way to get a job in a certain department, things like that. Exercising is good. I've seen a lot of people have said that they, get out and walk and do some things like that to get those endorphins rolling and get you fired up for the day. Some people do take it very hard, and they do need some counseling. So if your previous employer is offering supports or has an employee assistance program that you can use during this time, or if you need to go to professional counseling, that's okay. That's fine. This is a big deal. Losing your job is right up there with divorce or separation, loss of a loved one, things like that. So it is a big deal. Some of you might remember that the Saturday Night Live character that used to write on the mirror or whatever, or look in the mirror, I guess, and say, "You're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you. People like me." Sorry. Um, put in the chat if you remember who that was. Um, but yeah, to tell yourself you are a good person, good things will happen to you. This was not your fault. COVID was not your fault. Yep, Stuart Smalley, Al Franken. Yay. I love that. But look in the mirror every day and say, I am capable of meeting this challenge. I am fully capable of all of this. I'm a good person and good things are going to happen to me. Um, and tell yourself that every day. You are a good person. Good things will happen to you. Um, and then volunteering. Volunteering can also be very good. You don't know if you're at the food shelf, Second Harvest or whatever, packing lunch boxes, who are you going to be standing next to? Start talking about it. Don't be afraid to tell people that you lost your job. Be open about it. You may actually make a really great connection doing that. And you know what? It feels good to volunteer. It really, really does. So be sure to volunteer a bit. Now you can't volunteer away 40 hours a week and call it all job search. You do have to balance it out for your unemployment to do actual job searching as well. So don't volunteer the whole week away. And some of the other things maybe folks have put in there is don't forget to breathe. You have to breathe through this whole process, get the blood flowing, maintaining some structure. And we're going to talk about some of those things in a moment. Getting plenty of sleep, meditating, humor, maybe journaling. Write down every day how you're feeling. If you woke up crabby and ended the day great, what happened that day to make that change, to make that turnaround from crabby to happy? So just to keep in mind some of the things that you can do to help yourself stay positive or get positive, whatever the case may be. So here's the game plan. We are going to move forward, right? We're either going to look for jobs in the same industry, and that might be the easiest for you because it's a known, you know how to do it. So that might be it. If there aren't jobs in that industry, what would you do next? And some of the places you can get an idea about different occupations is on careerforcemn.com. Of course, there's information. My Skills, My Future is a site where you can type in, let me just look at it, a previous job title or the kind of job you're looking for, and it will pop up similar jobs with that in mind. So yeah, it says find career matches to a position you're currently in or a past job. CareerWise is good. The Deed website, the job stat is good. And I'm going to get a screenshot of that as well. We're the government, we love acronyms. So STAT is an acronym for something. Career One Stop is great. And ONET Online. And so some of these sites also, and maybe they'll mention this in the resume writing workshop, but they're also good to help you copy and paste out of those, chuck them right into your resume. So you don't have to recreate those little one-liners that are all over your resume. Go to a job site, type in your previous job and copy and paste into your resume. But this is how you can do some of your homework, finding out what are the careers in the field that I'm looking at, what are the changes coming down the pike. See if you need some training to fill in those skills gap that you might have to get into that next occupation. And you know what? Move on, or don't make the move. Go to school, or don't stick with what you know. Always knowing that you can come back and say, you know what? I guess I do need some training after all. Can I be connected with a dislocated worker counselor to get into this next occupation that I want to get into? So on careerforcemn.com, you can do some of these things. There's interest assessments, there's skills assessments. employment readiness assessments. What else is on there? Set your career goals, build your resume, all sorts of different things out there. View occupations in demand, which is really, all of these things are really great. But I think that interest and skills assessment is great to find out what kind of a personality you have. On the interest assessments, what would you like to do? You like to work with your hands, you like to be outside, you like to do things like that, versus you like to write plays and you like to play music. Obviously, two different areas. But to find out what kind of a person are you and what are some jobs that would fit you, with the interest and the skills that you have. Um, Here's the My Skills, My Future page. And so right in that gray bar, you can type in your current or your past job and find different career matches based on what you would, obviously what you would typically do in that job. And then here is the job stats. So it's job skills transfer assessment tool, is what that stands for. And I think it looks like I just opened a business and financial operations occupations. So you can go in and click on, what does an auditor do? I think that sounds interesting. And there's always job postings in my county to work in the auditor's office. What does that mean? What is that all about? And go in and do a deep dive into what that job might be all about. So the list goes on and on and on. So I would really encourage you to check that out as well. So preparing for the job hunt. So here we go, right? So we know from our interest and skills assessment the type of work that we would like to do. And you know what, are there any questions or anything in the chat we need to talk about, Ashua? Or Nawika, I'm sorry. For the website for United Way.
There hasn't been any questions that come in yet.
There hasn't. Okay, thanks, Nakwila.
Mhm.
Keeping an eye on that for me. So let's get started. Let's get organized. This is really key to helping you stay on track and be able to look back and see how much you've done in your job search. This is hard. I mean, it's hard to do this job search thing, because it's, especially if you've been at a job for a long time, it's a lot different than it was before. But you need to be able to stay organized, get organized and stay organized. So managing your schedule, like I said, volunteering is great. So you can balance your job search with some of those things as well. Because we are a wife, a husband, a sister, a brother, a mom, a grandma, all those things. So we still have those responsibilities, and job search is just now another one of those responsibilities that's on your shoulders. This is all about you, right? So managing your schedule is important, and keeping good records. So whatever system works best for you, whether it's a 3-ring binder or rest index cards in a box, so you can write down, all of your contacts. Who did I talk to at the department store I was at the other day? I ran into the human resources person, or and find out what, make a note of what was that conversation like, and am I supposed to follow up, or are they going to follow up? So you've got this running history for each job, each contact, if you will, going forward. So that when that person calls you back, you can quickly find that. You can pull it out and say, "Oh yeah, I ran into you at the grocery store the other day. Thanks for reaching out to me." Obviously, having handy and organized is your previous work history, so that you can copy and paste that information or have it handy when you're filling out applications. And when I was looking for work, I had my computer set up. My kids were still living at home at the time. Had my computer set up. I had my phone was right there and always charged. I always had my contact information and my all that information handy so that if someone did call me, I could just go right there and all of my stuff was right there. Having a phone charger so your phone is always charged up. You don't want it to run out of battery life in the middle of an interview. Pens, pencils, paper to take notes on, all those things. And you're gonna have to set up a username and password for all of those different online applications that you fill out. So want to be able to keep that handy so that you don't elevate your stress when you're trying to find that username and password for the Holiday gas station site or what have you. So keep that all handy. Keep it safe in a secure spot. But these are all the things that will help you stay on track. And having a good professional email address is good. I mean, I could use prettygrandma@yahoo.com, but that's going to look kind of silly when it goes across to an employer, a potential employer of mine. So I would change it to something a little bit more professional. First name, last name, 123 or whatever at gmail.com. And the other thing is, if you are one of those mature workers like myself, and I had an AOL account, I would probably not use that because that's going to show that I got an email address when the internet was first introduced to the world. Okay. So you want to get out there and get a new email, professional on Gmail, or one of those more contemporary sites, and keep it very professional. That's just what I recommend. But to stay on track, stay organized. It did say up at this top, start to get some SMART goals set for yourself. Let's just see. Yeah, so setting some SMART goals. And
Rhonda.
so, yeah.
Hi, sorry about that. We do have a few questions here that I wanted to get to, if that's okay with
Great.
you.
Yep, absolutely.
There is one here that says, let's see, is there a way to stay away from applying to companies that have the policy at will work?
Well, we are an at-will state. So honestly, I don't know how you can avoid that. I don't even know. I mean, if you're in a union, it's a little bit more difficult, but we are an at-will state. So I wouldn't know any other way to answer that. Maybe we can reply to that after the workshop. There is a bunch of information on the deed website. Employer information. There may be something there. I also have a book for employment law, and I can take a look at that and respond to that. You're welcome. Respond to that based on what that book says. Okay.
All right, and then we do have another question here. Let's see. So I haven't been very organized in the first few months here, and now I'm worried that UI will audit me. Does that ever actually happen?
I don't know. I've heard that it happens. I don't know how frequently. I don't know what would be the flag. But if you start making records now, that would be good. If you can go into some of those sites and just make a note, if you're applying at Fairview Hospital over and over again, you may get, and when you log into your account, a list of the jobs you've applied for. I would start keeping track at this point, just to show that you are doing it. And you can probably pull up information based on emails that you've gotten from employers to try and make a list should you happen to get audited. I don't work for unemployment. Keep that in mind. So just you do your best to start keeping track.
Take care, young man.
And yes, most employer sites do have a list of the jobs you've applied for. Yep, there's the guide to employment law issues in Minnesota. So thank you, Nick. Really appreciate that. Any other questions?
There are no more. Nope.
Not anymore. Okay. So part of your job search is going to be setting some goals for yourself. So you want to be really specific. Let's say you have to build a resume. Okay, you need to prepare this thing. That's your goal for this week, is to get a really well written resume. So that's your goal. That's very specific. And you want to be real specific so that you know when you're done with this task, and don't make it too overwhelming. So you want to prepare a resume. How are you going to do that? How are you going to track and to complete that goal? Say, I am going to have a rough draft of my resume to my job counselor by Friday. So this is the one thing you want to do. This is when it needs to be done. And it has to be something that's achievable. This is achievable. You can do this in a week, right? Because if it's not achievable, it's going to be hard to do it. If I say on Monday, I want to lose 30 pounds by Friday, not achievable, not going to happen. Do you think I'm even going to try? No, I'm going to go have a donut. So think about that in your mind too. It's got to be achievable. And you can attend workshops. You can watch a live workshop, or you can watch a recorded workshop on resumes. You can do your skills assessment. You can go to some of those websites I showed earlier, and you're going to get that list of websites when this packet of information goes out. Your skills assessment, write up your job history and your job descriptions so that you can put together a well-written resume. And there's different kinds of resumes that you can write too. So to have the big picture resume information together is great. That's a good goal. Make sure that it's relevant. Um, is this really what I need to be doing right now? Well, yeah, because most employers want resumes attached to their application or emailed to them, uploaded online into their system. So it is very relevant if you're job searching to have a resume put together. And it's got to be timely. Oh,
So, Rhonda, I actually have a question here regarding cover letters and resumes that I wanted to ask from
okay.
the chat. Now, should we have cover letters and references attached with the resumes, which you had just mentioned, but how many pages should a resume be?
Let me finish this up real quick and then I'll get to that. Um, so your goal has to be timely. When do you need to complete it? If I say I'm going to write a resume and I'm going to have it done in 3 weeks, if you're not going to do anything else in those 3 weeks, that's a lot of time. So make it concise, make it, manageable. Yes, you can do that by Friday. And then it's going to be completed 2 days after you get the feedback back from that counselor or from that friend who's going to be reviewing your resume. So yeah, you want to write a cover letter if they request it. If they don't request it, you didn't follow directions. If they do request it, obviously you need to do it. And I believe cover letters are covered in the resume workshop. Resumes typically, and I still hear this, is that employers read about the top third of it. Now it likely will go through some sort of online screening. So you want to use the buzzwords, if you will, that are in the job posting in your resume, even if it's not wording that you would use. If they call the job home health aide and all you do is talk about direct support professional, you're not matching the words. You have to match the words in each resume. So typically it's one page. If you go longer than that, just make sure that your really great stuff is up at the very top of that first page, in case that's all they really look at when it gets in front of a hiring manager. Did I answer that? Did I answer all that, Niquila?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. So setting those goals, and you can have more than one goal going at a time. So have that resume. That's one of your goals. You can also during that week, maybe you can join a networking club. You can maybe get out and go to that job fair on Thursday, things like that. So And again, when you go to that job fair, gather the employers' names that you talk to, their contact names if you can, all of that, so that you're continuing to build that network of yours. And it's still a very um, manageable goal. Okay, so that is the word on SMART goals. So, what should I research? Remember, you still haven't even applied for a job. You're still just doing all the pre-work, the before you apply for a job kind of work. So you know that you want to go work for XYZ company. You want to study the products or the services that they provide. Because if you're going to go to work, you want to be comfortable with what they're doing. You want to be confident. You want to be able to say with pride that you work there. So you want to really study their products and services, and their company size. Do you want to work for Carlson Companies, huge nationwide, worldwide company, or do you want to work with a smaller organization in your area? And also, location is key. Now, when I lived down in the metro, I lived out in Minnetonka and I worked in St. Paul. Well, that was kind of rough when I had kids in daycare because I usually look for daycare near the house in case somebody needed to pick them up. So I'm driving. You folks in the metro know sometimes an hour or more to get to St. Paul and back. That that's a lot of time away from that child, distance wise. Should I need them quickly, and plus that's 2 hours of your life on the road. So think about the location of where you're looking for a job. Now I'm in Duluth, and on a bad day, I'm 8 minutes from work. Love that. So be sure you think about the location. Think about their financial situation as well and their potential growth. And you can find that information on the Dean website. If they're a company that's on the upswing with a bright future or not. So you want to be sure that you check that out as well. And maybe some of those recent changes, like now you can work from home 3 days a week, or you can work from home every day. You just need to be within 50 miles of the office so that if we need you in-house, you're able to get there. Or maybe in the summertime, you can work 4 10-hour days and have Fridays off. Stuff like that might be really important to you. And some of those things are human resource policies, PTO, vacation pay, the benefits, all those things. You want to have a good sense of those things as you're doing your research. That labor market information again is important to know if they're on the upswing or if they're not going to be growing in the near future. And salary and benefits. This isn't a hobby for most of us. We want to be paid for our work. So be sure that before you accept that position, you know just what the salary and benefits will be for you, so that you know that if it'll fit into your world. Okay. And thinking about their mission statement and philosophy, going back up to that, if that really resonates with you, be sure to mention that in the interview. That what your tagline is, the patient above all else at this hospital. I truly believe in that because I've been a patient in this hospital and I was treated with the utmost respect and privacy and care. So that really resonates with me, and I can say firsthand that I've experienced that. Um, so where should you do your research? And this will be different if you're in a larger metro area or if you're in the outskirts of town. It's going to be a little bit different because not every single company has a website. Some mom and pop little shops, they might not. And so if you're in a smaller town, networking may be a good way for you to find out about that company, or press releases in your local paper. Maybe there's a business section and it's talking about, they just sold their restaurant, but to a new entrepreneurial a couple of folks that want to start something new in town. So that's a big change. Your favorite restaurant is now closing up, but something new is coming. So when you apply for a job at that new company, you've got that information. Oh, you can talk smart about it. So some of those press releases can help. Um, library and reference sections and Reference USA, which is an online database for employers. You can find on there sometimes people in the higher up offices. You can find out their sales. You can find out where they're located. You can pull up just all the manufacturing employers in your area, so you can really parse down in that database. And the ELM at a library website for electronic libraries for Minnesota, again, would also have great information for you to do your research. Obviously, using your network, connecting with them to find out about opportunities. Even folks that got laid off at the same time as you, and you were good pals with them, stay in touch with them because they may have heard of opportunities. They may be in the network or in the process of applying with another company, and they know that they need more people. They may have an opportunity for you. And informational interviews it's more of a conversation with an employer. If you want to get into a different industry, you may want to just go and talk with them and find out what's a typical day like around here. What does the culture feel like? What's the dress code? So you don't put the pressure on of I need a job and I need a job now. It's more, what do you do here? I want to see your operation. I've never been to a facility like this before. Um, and then connecting with the career force folks in your area. We talk to employers all the time. We set up job fairs, and these are called many different things: job fair, hiring event, employer of the day, business of the day. Come meet an employer. But keep an eye out for those things as well. And it's a great way to shake the hand of a human resources person, because with so much of this being done electronically, I think we're missing that piece um, of actually talking to people. So another thing you might want to do, because we don't all carry our resumes printed on linen paper in a folder when we go to the market, go shopping. You don't always have it with you, but this is an idea that you might want to use. You can easily keep them in your wallet, in your billfold, in your purse or your handbag, with just your basic information on it, so that when you run into people out and about, you can say, "Hey, here's my card. If there's any great job openings that I'd be a good fit for at your company, give me a call. I'd love to come in and talk to you, during the work week." Um, and you might actually get their business card in return, which is sort of an invitation to give them a call on Monday morning, and kind of take it from there. I think you will be talking about this a bit more in one of the upcoming workshops. But just keep it simple with your contact information on there. Highly recommend you proofread it very carefully. You don't want to have the wrong phone number or the wrong email address. You don't need to put your full um, physical address on the card, but personally, I think that with phone numbers being so portable, you might have a prefix of Bozeman, Montana on your phone, yet you've been living in Eden Prairie for the last 20 years. You want to just give them a sense of where you're grounded. I live in Eden Prairie. Here's my phone number. They don't need to know your street address. So that's one thing that you can do. And sometimes you can put information on the back. So if you're a registered nurse and that's all you want to do, you've been working in the surgical department and that's what you want to do again, you can put some of those related or relevant skills on the back side of some of them if you have the opportunity to print on both sides. And I think that there's places you can probably get them printed up locally, but you can also get them printed on Vistaprint. Is there a question?
Yes, we do have a few questions here. Let
Okay.
me get those here for you. All right. Now, there was one that came in asking, let's see. Now, is it better to not put your resume on Indeed or LinkedIn and so on, as only to apply for jobs that you're interested in?
Yeah. I think that you still need to apply for the positions, right? On Indeed, you can have your resume there, so it's easier to apply for jobs. Um, I've never done it, um, but I've heard that it's easier if your resume is posted out there. They will also send you things that they think are a good fit. It sounds like they will also send you things that are not a fit at all. So in that instance, you may want to have an email address just for your job search activity, so that all that stuff can go into one email box, and it's not intertwingled with all of your personal things that you've got going on. Because I've heard that you do get a lot of stuff sent to you that isn't even close to what you're looking for from Indeed. I also did hear from an employer recently that if you apply through Indeed with their company, they don't give it as much credit, if you will, as if you go to their direct website and apply. It's just a little bit more intentional to go to their website to apply, because it is so easy to apply on Indeed for just anything and everything. So that's just one little tip that I heard recently.
All right. And then also, with that, when applying for a job and they ask questions like, do you have a disability? What is the best thing to say?
They can't ask that. They shouldn't be asking that in the first place. Um, so that would be up to you. I think as a job seeker, how do you want to answer that? If you can do the job, and if you do have a disability, I would connect with the vocational rehabilitation folks to help you get a good answer to that. But if you can do the job um, without an accommodation, um, maybe you could mention that. If you do need an accommodation of some sort, there may be funding available to help with an accommodation, but that's a really touchy subject. And I don't think that they should be asking that in the first place.
All right.
It's just somebody just posted is voluntary, yep, and listed as a yes, no, or prefer not to answer. Yeah, it's they should that shouldn't even be on their application. Much like the justice involved folks. I mean, Minnesota has a ban the box policy where that information cannot be on the application form.
Right.
Every application has that question. Oh no.
We do have a few more questions here that came in the chat.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right, and there's one here that says, are there specific sites that we should be using over others? Like Indeed, Google Jobs, LinkedIn, some are full of spam postings.
Right, you're gonna get spam from a lot of those. And which is why I sometimes suggest just get an email just for email address just for your job search. Um, Minnesota Works does not just kick out job postings to you unless you set up a query. Say you're looking for registered nurse positions. Every 7 days, you wanted to kick out a list of those next jobs for you. You can set up a query like that, save a job search and ask it to email you the results. But, um, a lot of people say Indeed and several others. There are actually some that just focus on specific industries. So you might just you have to be kind of careful. I don't know that I would use Craigslist Although some of those smaller companies, that may be all they have access to. Um, so yeah, I would just be careful. And with remote positions, be careful as well, that they aren't asking you to buy computer equipment and they'll send you the money afterwards, or send us $1,000 and we'll have the equipment sent to you. You send your $1,000, no equipment shows up. So you really do have to be careful and do some due diligence in making sure that they are a legitimate company. Which is the nice thing about Minnesota Works, is that all of those employers are vetted and are actually employers in Minnesota. I don't know if I answered that question or not.
Yeah, I believe you did.
I kind
I'll
of went
just
on and on.
let me see here. Just trying to pull back up the questions. Um, all right,
Oh,
now,
oh no, no. Let's go back to the. Sorry, I interrupted you. The cover letter and references. Do not put your references with your application. You want to, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So hold that thought. Resumes and all that stuff. In just a moment. So we're going to get back to the references and the cover letters in just a second.
mhm, okay. And then let's see here. For people who are interested in switching careers, where do we go to see what is currently relevant and in demand?
That would be, you could look at the deed website or the careerforcemn.com website. On the very front page of the job seeker information, where it's the online tools, I believe that there is a link to look at the jobs in demand
And I can put
without
that
a
in the
degree
chat.
even, which is nice information to have. But that's all labor market information, and you can find a lot of that on the deed website. And again, connect with your local career force, because they are really great about that as well. Yeah, jobs in demand now that don't require a degree. So there's on careerforcemn.com.
All right. And then let's see here. We got a few questions here, but it doesn't look like we're going to have much time to get to those.
We can always answer those and send a reply. I just have one more slide to go through. And it's just talking about references. You'll learn about portfolios in one of the other creative job search workshops. But talking about references, you want to hold those back until you're asked for them, because you may have different people you want to use for different jobs that you're applying for. So you don't want to throw out a bunch of names and have them call them, especially if you don't have their current contact information. Maybe in the winter they're in Arizona and they use a landline, and when they're in Minnesota they use their cell phone. You want to be sure that you've got the most current information of where they'll be, and that they can speak to that employer. That you may have sent them a resume, you may have sent your references, the job posting, so they know about you and about the job, and can make the connection when they get that call about being a reference. And always ask permission, and tell them you're going to use their name. Nothing more awkward than getting a phone call saying, "This is Joe Smith, and I'm calling for a reference for Rhonda Redford," and I had no idea that Rhonda was even looking for a job. So you want to be sure that you let them know that you're going to use their name. So here's your homework. Um, and all the things that we talked about. So now, are there any questions?
All right. So there were a few here. Let's see. So there was one that came in that mentioned that they had gotten a email turning them down after a interview, and that they thought the interview went well, but it's just one step closer. So let's see, how don't I qualify for something that I know like the inside of my hand?
You know, there's a lot of other people that think that as well. And that employer, um, it may be that a person has a bit more experience or a little bit different experience, or maybe they have a veteran's preference where the veteran gets extra points, if you will, and that may tip the scale on that. So we don't always know. We all like to think that we're the best candidate for that position, but there is still an awful lot of competition out there. Um, so we may think that we're the best position, the person for the position. They may have filled it internally with somebody that was sat right next to that person. We don't know that. Okay.
It looks like the last question that we have here in the chat. With recruiters and ATS programs specifically checking for certain buzzwords and skills tailored to their job posting, what exactly would get posted at their sites like Glassdoor or LinkedIn?
What will get posted or what kind, I mean, to get a resume through on a position like that is you want to use their same terminology. So like I said, if you have always called yourself a home health aide, but they call it direct support professional, you are now all of a sudden a direct support professional. That's the kind of job you're looking for. So you want to use their verbiage. It's the same job basically, but it will match their keywords and the information that they've got in their site. Well, good luck, everyone. I hope that your job search goes well. Again, stay connected with your local career force location because we are all here to help you. So keep us in mind. Thanks, everyone.